All right, everybody. This is Brian Stavis, and as you know, or as we talked about, he is from Amazon, and we're going to get a chance to talk to him and his adventure in the world. Yeah, so tell us about yourself, Brian. How did you get to where you are?
Rick, I still don't really know where I am in this world. I'm still trying to figure it out, but I think, look, I prepared a couple of slides just to kind of level set, because how I found myself at Amazon, truth be told, I got really lucky. I've had really good mentors and people that have helped me along the way, that I've learned how to lean on and really grow from. And so I think it might be helpful, and I can present some of these slides, and then we can open it up for conversation if that works for the group.
Yeah, this is your world. We're just living in it, Brian. So.
I want to live in your world. I want to get out of my world. Let me tell you that. So here, let's share my screen. So got some generic slides, I think, just for, let's go over here. All right, cool. So you can see my screen?
Yes.
All right, cool. So, and to Rick's point, I currently lead our partnership and business development strategy between Amazon Web Services and Amazon Advertising. What that means, I still don't know. But after 4 years of being at Amazon, I've learned a lot of developing new routes to market and new technology partnerships to really help our customers grow their business on Amazon Web Services. And so I wanted to just use today to kind of explain on how I've got into the role that I have today, and then obviously my career journey, because it's anything but linear. And so with that being said, just to kind of level set with the group, because everyone, even my parents, still to this day ask me where their shipment is, as if I control that. And, or my dad has called me of, his Amazon Prime, the video was not loading because of buffering. Again, not my fault. But I think it's important for the group to understand just the different business units and how complex and really unique Amazon is. And so I'm curious for the group, and we can start just with a couple of questions, but how many items do you think Amazon sells on an annualized basis? Just any random numbers.
1 billion. 5 trillion.
So so this was as of last year. They are already, this is blown out of the water at this point, but over 350 million items have been sold on Amazon on an annualized basis. The same kind of construct is, how many people do you think subscribe to Amazon Prime Video?
3 million? 30 million.
So this is now over 200 million too. And so I always try to talk about just talking about the scale of Amazon. I've worked at various startups, and I remember coming to Amazon and we built a business plan for a new business unit. And we were like, yeah, we're going to get to $10 million. And they said, you need to throw a B on that number. My eyes just blew out, because the scale and the velocity and the growth of this company is pretty amazing. And so that being said, you guys are very familiar with the Amazon, retail side of selling it, and, household goods, electronics. You guys are probably very familiar with some of the things that we do on Amazon streaming with the new Lord of the Rings stuff. But I'm just, again, we'll talk about now the devices some of you might use Alexa, some of you might use our Roombas, some of you might use some of the other household gadgets that we have with Ring. But just out of curiosity, how many languages do you think Alexa speaks?
67. 25.
I think I've screwed up like getting you guys to the high end. I don't even know if there's 66 languages, but nonetheless, so there's 9 different languages that I can speak in 16 different dialects. And so just to give you some perspective on the global scale of how many people are using Amazon devices within their homes, within hospitals, within banks, the use cases for these devices is pretty impressive. And so now this is the world that I live in. And just out of curiosity, like, and I won't ask you this silly question, but can anyone tell me what like Amazon Web Services does or is?
Well, the cloud is just a fancy term for someone else's computer. So I guess you could say those data centers and other people's computers that you can use.
So what was your name?
Jacob,
I think you you need to take my job because you described it better than I could. But yes, you're absolutely correct. Like Amazon Web Services. So our current founder of Amazon, his name is Andy Jassy. He was one of Jeff Bezos's right-hand man, and Jeff and Andy were out on an offsite, trying to think of what was the next growth driver for Amazon. And Andy Jassy talked about how we had all these data centers that we were not utilizing. And so Andy drafted up a business plan to say, you know what, we should rent out these data centers for Netflix and Airbnb and Uber and Lyft and a lot of the technology that you use today on your phone, on your laptop, it's actually being powered by Amazon Web Services. And so with that being said, like I said, in regards to like my career, if you were to tell me that when I was in high school, you're going to work for Amazon one day, I would have said, no way. Like I just never thought I was ever going to be smart enough to work at Amazon. And so my career journey, like growing up, I always thought I was going to be in the NBA. I thought this small little guy from Los Angeles was going to be in the NBA. Sure enough, I found out the hard way that was not going to be the case. I was too small for that. But I show this because these 2 pictures came up to me of just like, they really, I always liked talking to people. I always loved conversing, learning from people. But I also loved collaborating with people. I loved finding ways that my strengths or my weaknesses could be offset by another individual or another team. So I always loved sports to try to drive that in me of how I can work with others to achieve a common goal. And so as I quickly, unfortunately, found out that I was not going to be a professional basketball player, I decided to go to undergraduate college in Colorado at the University of Colorado. But again, I didn't really know what I wanted to do. I first started there and I did political science. I quickly discovered that I didn't want to read and write all day long. So I changed into environmental studies because I really thought I was very passionate about, climate change and the greenhouse gases and the things that were happening in the ocean. And again, did a semester with that and really found out, I didn't love the science aspect of things. So I quickly did a pivot and I stumbled into entrepreneurship and economics. I liked economics because it made me understand how our economy thrives and how our economy runs. I also started my undergraduate degree during one of the worst financial crisis in 2008. And so I just I was very curious. I really wanted to understand how the hell we let that happen. And so did that, I did my undergraduate career in economics and entrepreneurship. The entrepreneurship piece really opened my eyes on startups and how to build about business from the ground up, taking an idea and leveraging a team to take that into product and take that into engineering and take that into marketing and legal and finance in order to get that out into the world. And so that really got me excited to start to look at what are potential careers that startups that I could potentially work for. And so again, going back to my comments on, wanting to learn from people, I had a really good mentor that told me about this online advertising business that was hiring. I knew nothing about advertising. I was on, the social media apps. I was on Instagram and Facebook and Snapchat, and I had familiarity with it, but I didn't understand how those companies made money. And so I ended up getting my first job at a sponsored advertising company, which basically what they did is if you went onto a website and you saw a blog post, within that blog, you might see an ad that appears as a 300 by 250 or different ad placements, right? So our company helped those bloggers monetize their websites. And so that gave me a lot of good experience in trying to understand how the online web worked, both with advertisers and website owners selling their what I called real estate. That's really that's what it is. And so I figured out how online advertising worked, how data sets were utilized to make personalized recommendations, so that if Jacob goes to a website or Rick goes to a website or I go to a website, we understand who the website's going to show a different ad for each one of us during that experience. So that was really good exposure. I then went to a company that ultimately got me exposure into social media and influencer advertising. And I kid you not, I should have become an influencer because you can make so much money in that. But I really realized more importantly is it's not all fun and games. It's, that influencer world, doing sponsored placements on YouTube or Twitch or TikTok. There's a lot of work and that was required, and it wasn't all that glamorous to me. And so all that being said, all of this experience forced me to want to go get my master's degree, where I ended up meeting the woman on the screen, my wife, who is from Oceanside. And I told Rick, we just moved down to San Diego, even though I'm not there right now. But my master's opened up the ability for me to then get a job at Amazon, where I was working full time while studying at UCLA to get my MBA. And so I show all this because, even though I've done online advertising, I've worked with live streamers and influencers, I never in a million years thought, I'm going to work at Amazon Web Services, because I knew nothing about the cloud. I knew nothing about cloud technology, IT, but I did know a lot about advertising and marketing technology, which opened up that door at Amazon. So what I do at Amazon, I currently lead our business development and partnership function within Amazon Web Services. We have realized that our two fastest growing business units at Amazon are Amazon Web Services and Amazon Advertising. And the glue between them are partnerships and figuring out how we better serve our mutual customers. And so I say this to you because, I made that joke about, like, I know nothing about our retail side. I know nothing about how, a package gets from you order something and it gets to your door in 12 to 24 hours. It's fascinating to me, but I don't know too much about that stuff. But what I do know is how we are able to, when you're on your phone and you need an Uber and that driver knows exactly where to pick you up in 5 minutes, I know exactly how that technology works. And so my job at Amazon has been a lot of fun. It has given me the opportunity to travel the world and meet remarkable people and super smart people that I've learned and grown a lot from. And like I said, I love to learn about new technology. I love to learn about the next or innovative thing that is launching in the market. I love to work with great people that continue to elevate me and challenge me. And so that's why I've had one of the best jobs working at Amazon, because I've gotten all of that exposure even though I could not be there with you guys today because I had to travel for customer engagement. So I tie this all together because, I think even though I say this is all fun and games at Amazon, it's certainly, there's a reason why your box shows up in 24 hours, right? We work very hard in order to deliver the best customer experience on behalf of people like yourselves. We want to make sure that when you go onto the Netflix app, you click a button and you get to stream your favorite show. We want to make sure that when you're playing Fortnite or whatever video game it is, you don't experience any buffer wait time in order to get into the arena, right? And so all of that, it comes back to our DNA, which is customer obsession. But it also comes back to making sure that we have a healthy work-life balance. We want to make sure that if I'm tired because I've been working too hard, that means I'm not going to show up and be my best tomorrow on behalf of our customers, which is obviously problematic. And so all that tying together is, my 2 cents of how I've gotten to where I am in my career was I was always learning. I always wanted to try new things and experience new things. And so one of our leadership principles, we have 14 of them, but one of my favorites is learn and be curious. Always, I always try to point this back to being a kid again, of asking why, trying to unravel the onion to figure out the root cause or the core reason of why you feel a certain way or think a certain way. Build a network. You never know who the next Jeff Bezos is. You never know who the next co-founder of your company is going to be. You never know who you're going to learn something new from, that, they come from a different background or different experience that you can learn something from. And last but not least, try to excel at, like for me, the reason why I got a job at Amazon is they knew that I knew something about advertising and marketing technology that they didn't. And so that put me up for a position that I don't think I probably would have gotten if I was not going down this career path that I was already previously on. So I will tie that all together and open it up for any questions. And I'm sorry that went longer than I expected.
Do you have any answer to that?
Yeah.
So you had your background in economics, right? So what aspects of your economics expertise come into play when you're working at Amazon?
Yeah. So, I think of like right now in particular, right? The economy, you might have heard, Facebook or Meta had some layoffs today. You think about Lyft, you think about Stripe. A lot of these technology companies are experiencing layoffs. And so my economic brain is thinking those companies like typically perform quite well from a financial perspective. And so I always like understanding, and I've been saying this for the past 6 to 9 months, of companies got way too, they inflated their headcount over COVID because these tech companies like Zoom, for instance, what we're on right now, their company was a hockey stick, but they overhired. And now when companies are going back into the office, you see this shift happening. The same thing happened at Meta. The same thing happened at all the companies that I just rattled off. So I always look at it when I'm consulting for a lot of my customers of what is the economic environment? What is the business environment that if they're launching a new product or feature in that market, if they want to go to market in India, what's the economic climate? What is the financial environment, and what is a competitive environment to say or justify that you should launch a product in that region at this time of year?
Next.
So how does that lend into data analysis and, and what kinds of skills are really needed? Like what kind of tools should we know how to use?
Yeah, so, I think it depends on how far you want to get into the data analytics side versus if you want to stay on more on the business side and understand how those insights can, you can take those insights and metrics to then provide recommendations to the business, which is more on the world that I sit on. Then there's the data, data engineers who work with, R or engineering or code to figure out how to build those algorithms or those dashboards that, business people can then utilize. And so I think it depends on the two different tracks. I mean, I like digging into the data. So I spend time on knowing Excel very well and Tableau very well. And then we also use something at Amazon called Amazon QuickSight to extract data, but then manipulate it so that we can actually see causality. We understand that if this event occurred, what does the output look like? And so that's where I think it just depends on the avenue that you want to pursue.
Does Amazon build its own tools, Brian, or does it use things like Salesforce and you mentioned like Tableau? I know that was like,
So Amazon historically has a very much a build it versus buy it culture. But we do, I mean, Salesforce, we utilize internally, we use Slack internally. So there's a lot of, I guess, case by case examples where if there's a best in class solution, we should be using that just given our scale. But we certainly have a build it culture.
Sorry. So besides like data analytics, what other subject matters do you see being needed in the AWS side of Amazon?
Yeah.
Like cloud computing or like what kind of stuff do you see?
So, one of the areas that I think is so interesting is there are, so there's a whole cohort of people at AWS that are engineers, right? They're building our next solution. Then there's the individuals that know how to talk to both the engineers, our product people, but also know how to navigate with our salespeople. Two different types of personas, two different types of personalities. And so where I find the biggest opportunity is people within product management, project management, knowing how to navigate those two different types of very different stakeholders. But just to kind of answer that in a more succinct way, product, program, and project management are three areas where we certainly need more support.
What are some of the challenges that you found in trying to hire people for those positions?
So we look at, I would say, three different characteristics for Amazon hiring. And it comes back to, one is, are you Amazonian? And the area that we evaluate that on is based on our Amazon leadership principles. Those are publicly available. You can see, and that comes from even our interview process. You'll be asked a question. So, Jacob, tell me about a time you went above and beyond for the customer. That's probably testing you on our leadership principle called customer obsession. So are you Amazonian? You need to check that box. That's non-negotiable. The second box is, are you a subject matter expert? Do you have something that we don't currently have that will provide a lot of value in this role? That's something that it's non-negotiable. We want you to raise the bar in some capacity. The third piece of the puzzle is, do you know cloud? Because we know we can teach you that. That's an area where I didn't check that box, but they knew that they could teach me through all of our certifications and all of our education. And so I think the biggest area that we see is people miss on one of those two boxes. Our recruiter sees an amazing resume, sees an amazing LinkedIn for someone that has all of the subject matter expertise. But then when they go through the interview, they just don't have the earned trust. They don't have the bias for action. They don't have their ownership, leadership principles that we need people to adhere to.
So I have a quick question. So you were talking about, like literally 2 seconds ago, I'm having a hard time. It was about like, almost like a portfolio, like experience, right? Of, so how would someone like me that's only 17 build that experience, right? Like how would I go, if I wanted to work at AWS, how would I build experience so that I can, I don't know, appeal more to HR, I guess?
Yeah, so where, and I'll say for, for me, for instance, when I was 18, I started to put out feelers for people where I could just get internships. And for me, it was more about like, I didn't know if I wanted to go into technology. So one year I did an internship in entertainment. The next year I did it in financial services. The next year I did it in real estate. So I never even had any internship experience in technology, let alone cloud technology. So I say that to you because, whether or not it's reaching out to people like me on LinkedIn and you want to see, hey, do you know anyone offering summer internships or this summer? Or, someone that might be hiring part-time for this type of role. But it's going back to that comment on building that network is try to, if you want to just start to figure out what you want to do. Look, I still, after working in technology for the past 10 years, I still am learning every day of what I want to do and what I don't want to do. So I think it starts of, starting to put out those feelers, starting to get that experience and just get those at bats. It doesn't need to be your first job, will not be your last job. And so it's really just having those learning opportunities to see what you do like and don't like. This is the best time to just see, like, explore, really have fun with it.
I had a question. So to get a position at AWS, is there a prerequisite of having this, especially in the engineering area, like a bachelor's or master's in computer science, or could some sort of experience certifications or just demonstrate passion kind of get past that first initial HR block to at least get an interview?
Yeah. So look, I am not the sharpest tool in the shed and I got a job here. So if that gives you any sense of like, it can happen to anyone. But one thing, just to like answer your question in the most like sincere way, is you do not need a bachelor's degree in order to get a job at Amazon. Like we have hired some of the most talented, I mean, my former boss, he didn't have a bachelor's degree. He went to the Navy when he was 18 and then figured his way into business. And so one way to show that you are knowledgeable or interested in cloud computing, for instance, is AWS, and I'll send the link to Rick. We have a plethora of cloud certifications, and for students, I think you can actually get them. You can go through the trainings for free. So, and I'll send this to Rick with all the content. But we have so many different certifications that I know this for a fact of LinkedIn recruiters. They will go into LinkedIn and search AWS certified. And that pops up when they search for you because they figure out that you're a cloud practitioner or you have your associate certification in data analytics or machine learning. And so it is a way to stand out above others that, say they might have their computer science, masters, but they didn't go through all of the stuff that shows that they are actually interested in AWS cloud computing, not just cloud or computer software.
Okay, thank you.
As far as the AWS certificates, I know that the training is free, but you would still have to pay to get the certificate. But if I was applying for a job and I went through the training and put that on my resume and then talk to somebody, would it be better to have paid for the certificate and had it, or just have gone through the training and be able to be knowledgeable and talk about it?
The certificate definitely, it will certainly give you a leg up. Do I think it's a requirement? No. But if you're trying to compare, or if someone's going head to head with you and, they have 3 years of work experience and you have 2, and they also have a certification and you have one, or you don't have any. And then, you guys are perfect on the interview together. They're probably going to go with the other person that's more certified, unfortunately. So that's just like, it can help you. It can be a differentiator for you. It will never stop you, or like slow you down. And that's like even why I went to go get my master's. I didn't want to ever get compared to another person that got their MBA, and I performed better on the interview. I had just as much of work experience. I might have taken a business certificate before, but they had that MBA and that gave them the leg up. I never want to lose because of that.
In addition to that, you are very well spoken and present yourself very well. What in your career, in your schooling and stuff, helped you develop that the best? Because that's a huge interview skill, is being able to express yourself. And what do you think in your experience helped you the most with finding your ability to public speak and be comfortable?
Yeah, well, I appreciate that. I can certainly say that it's all practice. I remember going, and, Rick could probably tell you, is like the first time he had to present in front of people, probably had a little bit of nerves. I don't know. And so the same goes for me, is like the first time I spoke in front of students, I was like, I know Amazon, I just don't know what to say. And so, with that being said, the cop-out answer would tell you, look, practice. The more that you speak in front of people, the more that you interview, the better you're going to get. And that is that. So I still, to this day, even though I'm not looking for jobs, I will take any interviewer that wants to talk with me. One, because it gives me a sense of what value I have to a company. And 2, it gives me practice on what are the things that I want to say. Even if I'm not interested, maybe it's a job in oil and gas. I clearly work in a very other side of the world, but I just want to really craft that story that I have. And so more practice will certainly serve you well. And, even if you wanted to, and this is something that I will offer to any of you, if you wanted to practice going through what an Amazon interview looks like, I'm happy to interview you because I have all of our question bank, just so that you can go through that, like that dress rehearsal. It could help you craft your own story and what are the things that you want to say, and maybe the things that you want to stray away from. So even though you said I'm very articulate, that was a terrible answer for the question, but hopefully that helped.
Thank you. It does.
How can we connect with you to do that?
Yeah.
Do you use
I-
LinkedIn or?
Yeah. So, and Rick has my contact information, but yeah, I'm on LinkedIn as well.
Cool. Thank you.
That's a very generous offer. Thank you.
Very kind.
Yeah.
My name's
And-
Jonathan Markey. I'm gonna be reaching out to you on LinkedIn.
Not a problem. And honestly, like I said, I am now down in San Diego, not today, but we moved down there a few months ago. So definitely the next time I get to meet with you guys, I hope it's in person for sure.
Thank you.
So I had a question. So a lot of us, I'm sure, are looking for internships. I wonder if you had any advice on how to make just the best application for applying for something with AWS. How can we really stand out when there's so many other people applying for the same internships?
So I've always been a firm believer of using your network, because applying on the portal on a website it's not fun. Because you don't know where that goes. I'm the first person, I've been there. And so, whether or not, if you want to set up coffee with me and we just chat, and I can give you some ideas on how you want to go about it. But I would always go through someone that is at the company. And let's say you don't want to work at Amazon, you hate Amazon, you want to work at Google. I've always been a firm believer of going to see the interview, or if there's an internship, and you go reach out to the hiring manager, you go reach out to someone on that team that says, you know, you want to be, or you basically reach out to them on LinkedIn and say, hey, I'm interested in this job here, or I would love to take you or to chat with you for 5-10 minutes of your day, just to learn more about the process, learn more about the company and the opportunity. Let me know if you're available. And so again, you might not have responses every time you reach out to those people, but going through someone as a referral versus submitting something into a black box, I highly recommend that strategy. Even though you might not always get responses, you might not get responses that you even like, but again, more at bats are going to give you better success. As you know, based on my experience.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Brian, thank you so much. You've been so generous. I want to ask one more favor. Can we get a picture with you for our social media?
I wish this was in person. I don't know like how to
Well,
do
yeah,
that.
that's, you can do that. Everybody go get in there with him and I'll get you. I'll line them all up. There you go.
This is probably,
I'll send you.
this might be one of the more awkward photos I've participated in.
Now we're talking. All right. Okay, hold on a second here. All right, and ready? Here we go. 1, 2, 3. Awesome. Wait a second. I want to get in here. I'm gonna selfie it.
Oh, my
You guys see? Yeah. See yourself. See yourself in there. See yourself. Ready? Here we go. 1, 2, 3. Awesome. Thanks a lot, Brian.
Yeah, thank you guys.
Appreciate you.
Yeah, absolutely. Thank you.
Wow.